Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Fire Force Episode 3, and it's back. I'll be honest, after the whole, I recognize this I recognize that as the Prince why, Prince Bones and Fire Force, as to why, as to why David Production and Fire Force went on break is because of the whole is because of the whole Kyo anti-fire. Um, but the Kyoani fire in itself is still a very heartbreaking thing. But it isn't until after that break that I realized that only 3 episodes in, I'm really liking this. I'm really liking this anime. Again, a lot of my like for it does have to do with the fact that I'm reading the manga, but I'm really liking this anime adaptation so far. So yeah. Um, so with and so with this episode, we get introduced to a character. We get introduced to a character whose name is pretty much Tamaki, and as a manga reader, I'm not gonna lie, she is kind of a case where for one reason or another, when it comes to Tamaki as a character, she pretty much is gonna fall to the wayside a bit and get overshadowed a lot by a lot of the other main cast. I mean, she's pretty much established herself as a much mean as a much meaner as a much more as a much more as much more me, as much more as a much meaner and mean spirited version of Maka. But as someone who is reading the manga, I can also say that pretty much the spotlight when it comes to spotlight on her, it shifts quite a bit to the point where there are gonna be times where you're gonna confuse Maki and Tamaki at times, and it's with Tamaki, it's not even a case of her, and with Tamaki, it's not even really a case of her being a bad character necessarily, but I think more that just in comparison to any of the other characters, any of the other characters, when it comes to Tamaki, especially design wise, she does feel like she with Tamaki, she pretty much feels an extra special case of being a very stock character, at least compared to everyone else. At least compared to everyone else, at least compared to everyone else, it's like almost to the point where she has kind of like a little bit too much of a stock appearance, to the point where she almost kind of like blends into the background a little bit too much. You a little too much. Again, as of right now, when it comes to Tamaki, she pretty much has established herself as an okay character, but yeah, you are gonna find that later on, she kind of does. A lot of her character is kind of stocked. Is a little too stocked to the point where she does kind of blend into the background a little bit more. But at the same time, a lot of what I'm telling you when it comes to Tamaki is just from my personal experience. So others are probably gonna have a different view of her. But yeah, as far as me, like with Tamaki, she pretty much has she's pretty much had her moments, but overall as a character, she is a little bit stock too. So yeah. Now, pacing wise, it was once again a very good episode. However, in the beginning of this episode, there was an added scene of the Mr. Man who is at this point, at the point of this episode airing, is now known as Joker, from last episode, meeting up with a scientist who gave him that combustible powder. and them talking about Company 8 and Obi's past. And at first, I had to pause the episode. And just kind of go back and see if that whole like first scene was in the manga, but no, it was kind of an anime only scene, like pretty much the scene of that scientist having given Joker the powder, that was in the manga, but the scene of that the scene we see in the beginning of this episode with them meeting again, that was like strictly, at least from my understanding, that was strictly in the anime, an anime only scene. Although however, in a way, I think there is a genuine argument to make that in terms of what's revealed, in terms of what's the little details of what's revealed of Company 8 and Obi's past in this in this episode, you could argue it's a rare case of the anime only scene being having a little more importance than we might think. At least in terms of what's going on in the manga right now with Obi, but so yeah, it's just a scene that it's just a scene I would say that a lot of people, that it would be best for a lot of people in order to keep in the back of their minds for the future. Although it does depend on how far this anime adaptation goes and if there's going to be a second season and whatnot. Which positive there will be, but yeah, for anime onlys, I'd keep that in the back of your minds for sure. Also adaptation wise, I will say that there were a couple moments here and there where they kind of switched around the order of scenes, but overall not bad. And having said that, one thing I will say is that adaptation wise, they did go. With this particular episode, what they did is they went in a little bit more of a linear direction in basically terms of portraying the events that played out. Like for instance, when it comes to Shinra's fight with Joker, that particular fight, it was kind of broken up a bit in the manga in order to focus on the other characters. Whereas in the anime, they pretty much focused on the fight individually from what the other characters were doing, which is a pretty standard technique. I suppose when you consider how modern anime are made, but yeah, it's just a little side note in order to take note of that in terms of the way it was portrayed, there is just a slight bit of a difference, at least compared to the manga, of how these events were portrayed. Also, there's a few interesting things to talk about with this episode from a story perspective. First thing to talk about with this episode is that we've taken a big leap with the mystery of the fire that killed Shinra's family, and established that not only does the captain of Company 1 and Joker not only that the captain of Company 1 and Joker were both there when it happened, or at the very least have knowledge of what happened, but also that Shinra's brother is still alive. And trust me, that one detail alone is only like just the fact that Shinra's brother is alive. That one bit of information is only scratching the surface of how crazy that reveal actually is. And for anyone who might be thinking of dropping this, I urge you to keep watching as just knowing this, it is going to get crazier than that. Obviously if this many people even basically know even know these particular details, then this is definitely setting up there's going to be more. There's definitely more as to what happened, as well as the why. And trust me when I say that Shinra and ourselves as the watchers are going to be stepping down a rabbit hole of insanity from this point on, and it's only going to get more intense from here. From more every little bit of information that's going to get revealed with this, it's going to get more and more insane. The mystery, the more details we learn about this mystery, the more it's going to pile on. The reveals are going to pile on. It's insane. Um, the other thing to take note on a story perspective is the rookie soldier games, and I thought this when reading the manga too, but from a technical storytelling perspective, it's actually kind of intriguing how the series had jumped from right into the tournament arc already, but but also that the tournament arc was kind of being used as a means to train the rookies and develop their skills, which I feel is something a lot of tournament arcs have forgotten to do, or either forgotten to do, or just don't make it the main focus. But here, it's built up as an enormous as a necessity and as a necessity for them as fire soldiers. Of course, in this case, it flipped the script even more by having the main antagonist pretty much show up and start causing trouble immediately upon the tournament start. When usually we'd basically have to wait like a couple episodes more in order for that to happen. So yeah, it was again it was just kind of crazy how. It was just kind of crazy how that kind of all played out. Like, it's a nice twist on the tournament arc thing for sure. And with this episode too, one of the important things we do learn as well is the inner workings of the Fire Force, is the Special Fire Force and the duties of its different companies, as well as where Company 8 fits into this picture. And yeah, it's honestly this whole system is you really get the feeling that this whole system is pretty much is screwed to hell. Especially if Company 8 is the sole organization that even actually gives a damn that even actually gives a damn about even trying to solve this whole human combustion mystery. Like with all these other companies that they essentially have gathered information on the human combustion thing, the human combustion mystery, but at the same time, all these other companies also pretty much have basically their pretty much own have their own personal agendas as to what they want to do with that information, and so it's Company's 8 job in order to basically force the information out of those other companies in order to solve the human combustion case. And knowing all this, just what I've said, it really gives you insight into what Joker was talking about. He might be a criminal of sorts, but really, with as much freedom as he has in order to gather information, with the power he has as well, he's really one of the few who can actually be trusted, and he's one of the few who, whether or not you completely trust him or not, whether you completely trust him or just only trust him a little bit, at the end of the day, he is the only one who can really kind of be trusted in a situation that pretty much begs the question of who can you trust. And when everyone has their own agenda to achieve, and again that goes when it just kind of it really just kind of forces you to think who is it that you can trust in a situation where almost absolutely not a single person can really be trusted. It's really kind of fucked to hell, really it is. It's also kind of funny, but it's now one thing I will say on a bit more of a comedically lighter tone with this episode is that it's kind of funny, but at the same time annoying how as someone who's basically revisiting a lot of this stuff in the anime, I'm reminded how much of an annoying dumbass Arthur was in the beginning. I mean, I pretty much get it, him wanting to compete with Shinra, but seriously, Arthur, use some brain cells, dude. There's no way in hell Joker was an obstacle set up by the Fire Force companies as training. That dude was trying to kill Shinra. Seriously. Arthur, dumbass. Try using a little more common sense, bro. I mean, I guess in a way that this whole fight with with Joker, it did make them a little bit stronger, but yeah, still Arthur, like seriously, dude. I'm reminding how much you really kind of annoyed me in the beginning. Like weird to say, but yeah, like I forgot how much of the annoyance from like I forgot how much of the annoyance from like from pretty much I'm forgetting how much of the annoyance from Excalibur was transferred to Arthur. It's like, yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and list to Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.